Wowee. This is not the start of the year that I expected. I'm sure you guys didn't expect. Welcome to the show. Sorry, it's a day late. Unfortunately, I was in Perth yesterday for some work, so didn't have my setup to be able to pump out a quick video. But hey, we are here now to talk about this weird start to the season. I'm not going to go overboard like the rest of the media. I think the media is going a little bit ridiculous on this. It is two very, very bad losses against two sides that we haven't lost to in a very long time. The Suns we hadn't lost to since 2014. The Roos we hadn't lost to since 2019. Players are in really horrible form, and there is a little bit on the day that doesn't quite help what happens. Like, we haven't been able to play a game fully our way, and we haven't had the dash and the quick ball movement that we saw in round one, which is really disappointing to see. We've got our top players in that are just out of form at the moment, and they're not doing the little things to chase there and make a difference in those games. And we saw it really break apart in that second half. We came back a little bit towards the end of the third, but yeah, just really allowed them to completely run over us in that last quarter, kicking 6-2, which is similar to what happened in the Roos game where, I guess, well, to quote Max Gawn, they broke their spirit a little bit, which is not something that you really want to be putting out there. And Max Gawn has been a bit weird with his comments in the media lately. It's not making us look like a very strong football club, and our culture has been completely fractured since Angus Brayshaw was murdered by Maynard, because he was the person that drove all of our standards, drove our culture, what ran win the morning, win the day sessions before training, and now he's not there. And that's, obviously what impacted the culture around the club in the last 2 years, and we're still recovering from that. They spoke about having a lot of love in the off season and trying to get around everybody, and that's great. But if you can't win football games, it's not going to look awesome, especially when you're losing by 10 goals. It's Now, in the game, having Xavier Lindsay, sprain his knee in the first few minutes completely changed our setup for the game. It meant that Rivers couldn't play in the middle and had to come and replace him at half back. So Rivers isn't really getting the chances in the midfield to play the role that he's been training in. So we're not really getting that injection of like new talent into the midfield. And then to try and give our forward line a bit of dynamics, we're putting Christian Petrarca there. But the only time we look like we have any magic, any hope, any sort of trying to win some contest out of the middle is when Petrarca's in the middle. It seems like Oliver and Viney are playing very similar sort of defensive roles because they're not breaking out of the centre clearance with the clearances. We've lost the centre clearances the last 2 weeks by over 10. It's just, that's not Melbourne football. We were meant to be, contest and defence team, and as the game's trended away from that, we seem to try to change and then go back to that. But then if you're a contest and defense team and you're not winning the contest, then your game plan's failing. So that's where we're really going to need some help. And, we're not seeing our players pointing and getting players into the right spots. Players are being lazy and picking up players. The umpiring was horrific against Gold Coast. 3 goals from 50-metre penalties, and from soft ones as that, from what I could see. Not picking up on just running too far. Multiple times Gold Coast players ran too far. The 15-metre rule, and Petrarca's there complaining to an umpire instead of watching the handball off for Matt Rowell, or from Matt Rowell, who was unreal. Matt Rowell actually looked more like Clayton Oliver on Saturday than Clayton Oliver does. Like, he's doing he's the most similar player I've seen in the league that has that burst of speed and can do handballs and contested ball. Like, Matt Rowell is someone that definitely, I think he's out of contract at the end of the year, so someone that we should definitely target. He's just, looking absolutely unreal. But we still haven't seen Cozzy in this side yet, which adds a lot of run and dash. And, Windsor's only played 1 game, which will always also help that. Harvey Langford really played his first full game and was our best midfielder, which is shocking. It should be You know, not with the quality that we have in this side, with Clayton Oliver, Ed Langdon, Christian Petrarca, Christian Salem, there's no way a first game player should be our best midfielder on the day. You know, the last time that happened was when Jack Viney debuted. So, you know, we've got something to look forward to with watching Harvey develop throughout the year. Can't wait till we get McVee back as well. So we haven't put our best 22 or anywhere near our best 22 on the park. The biggest issue is obviously kicking into the forward line, because we still seem to be dump kicking it. And then the players that we have in that forward line as well. JVR is still too young to be the number one forward. He can't be battling against 28-year-old full backs where that's their bread and butter, is punching the ball away from big dump kicks coming in. It's just not going to work. So they're going to need to bring in either like a Disco, because he's kicked 5 goals last week. But I'd really like to add probably Tom McDonald into that forward line, not Harrison Petty, who they played forward late in that last quarter, probably also not helping with that goal avalanche. Just to take that first defender, because if Tom McDonald's got the first defender, that puts, you know, the second best defender on to JVR, and then you've got Fritsch as the third, who did show a bit more in this game, but God, we need more out of him. And I know a lot of people are saying this guy needs to be dropped, but it's really hard to drop the person that's been your leading goal kicker for the last 5-6 years. So it's a lot of talent to put out of the side. When it's like, if we do actually get rolling and get some connection going, he will be able to kick off and score goals. Like, he is a bit of a downhill skier, but like, he's one of the best kicks in our team. There's still no CEO still. I don't know how much that affects, you know, what happens so much with the club and the football program. It could, not sure. But yeah, looking through the stats, we did get crucified a little bit in free kicks, but you know, you've got to be better than that, and you can't let those things affect you. You can't, you know, have a game break your spirit because it's a bit hard. Like, it's football. Like, you got to turn up every single contest and just get it done. It's just, you know, there's lack of effort, then there's, like, you know, skill-based things. And I feel like they were trying a lot, but then they weren't really doing the extra stuff. And then skill-based stuff, just missing handballs. It's just, you know, you're not going to win games when you're missing handballs 5 meters away from each other, or you're handballing it to someone's feet, or handballing it so they have to jump up in the air and catch it. Like, there's just these little things that we do, which always put, like, we're never putting our teammate in a situation where they're at the advantage. We're putting them in a situation where they need to do the amazing to get out of it and kick a goal. It has to be like, they have to fight so much to get to the next point that it just makes the game harder for us. And we also skip steps all the time. We'll be running into goal, and instead of doing the 15-meter kick to give it to a player that's right on the 50-meter line so he can kick it into, you know, close to goal, where it's like, you know, we at top of the square, 20 meters out, you know, hot spot, they're kicking it into the 35, 45-meter mark, and that's easier for them to turn over and rebound. So it's just like the simplest things in footy that you see that's just really annoying. It's like, why aren't these things being fixed? But yeah, that's my kind of ramble for what I saw in the game. Let's get into Goodwin's press conference.
Where did you feel it got away today?
Certainly around the ball. You know, there's probably a few issues in the game. Our contest method around the ball, not only at scrimmage but at stoppage, just isn't where it needs to be right now. And it's something that we need to fix pretty quick. That's the starting point of the game. And, you know, when you go down, what is it, minus 18 or something at clearance, especially all between the arc, and your scrimmage contest methods, you know, an issue. Too often they got out of there easily, and we fumbled and bumbled around the ball. So we need to get that fixed. And our execution, you know, our ability to you know, execute with the ball on hand with our fundamentals and skills wasn't to the level. So when you put those two things together, it makes for a pretty tough day, and clearly a pretty big score kicked against us again.
What was behind the skill execution stuff? Because it seemed particularly fun leading both sides earlier.
Yeah, obviously the conditions were a little bit windy, but we got to get to work. We acknowledge we've probably got too many players at the moment that aren't in the form that they need to be in, and that's everyone. That's as coaches, we need to fix that. We need to help them. We need to get them in form, and that's the first step to fixing your fundamentals. You could see, just the basics of the game weren't to the standard required, and.
Yeah, he's nailing it. They weren't at the standard required. We're not executing at the right level, and that's what needs to be fixed. So at least he's not bullshitting himself. He's not saying that there's any lies, or that we're better than what we are. That's a pretty blunt assessment on what we need to work on.
As I said, we got punished by a team that I think's playing some pretty strong footy. They look like they're full of confidence and they're playing the right way. So that's where we want to be.
And we're not playing the right way. And when you don't play the right way, you get punished.
Certainly feel we've got the potential to be there. And we're 3 weeks in and we acknowledge right now where we sit.
Potential to be there, yes. We have enough quality players, which I'll get into a bit later.
Right now isn't where we want to be, and it's not to the level. And we've got to fix it.
Have you got an update for us on Xavier Lindsay?
I haven't got an official update, so straight away we're unsure, so we need to go and get that scanned.
You talked about Melbourne's brand today. You're starting to see Damien Hardwick's fingerprints all over this side and the type of side that he had under Richmond a couple of seasons ago when they were at their top.
So,
the type of football that you see the Suns playing at the moment, are you seeing a big replication from what Dimmer had during his time at Richmond a couple of seasons ago?
Oh, look, I think, with any coach, they play a similar way, but they're in form. They're playing good footy. That's what I do know. And they've got a lot of talent across the park, and we acknowledge today that they were a far better team than us today.
Expecting to have Jake leave the back and Cozzy is back as well next week?
Yeah, we're hopeful to get a few players back next week. We'll get Jake Leave will be back. Cozzy, Caleb Windsor will be back as well, and obviously getting Maisie back today and Jake Melsham. So we're starting to get a few back, which is good.
Charlie Spargo as well.
And Charlie Spargo, yeah, he's just got to work through the protocols, but he's a chance as well.
Yeah,
Got to remember how good Charlie Spargo was at kicking inside 50. Like, he was one of the best in the league when we won the flag, if not the best in the league when we won the flag. And that's something that we've been really missing, is connection inside 50. He's switched on. He might be small, he might get pushed off the ball a bit, but when he has the ball, he delivers it.
lots of changes at the moment. Is that having a detrimental effect, having so many changes week on week?
Yeah, look, it's just where we're at. We've got a fair few on our injury list that we're still working with, and combine that with, obviously we need to work hard as a club and a coaching group and a team to get everyone in the maximum form they can possibly be in. So yeah, we've got our challenges, and I think at every stage, at every part of the season, you're going to have some challenges at certain times. We're having ours early. But as I said, I've got belief in this group. I've got belief in everything that we're capable of. And you're not seeing it now, and our supporters will be disappointed, and I acknowledge that they would be disappointed with where we sit right now. But we've got unwavering belief in what we're capable of, and we're going to go after delivering it. And we're going.
Yeah, we are all disappointed. Obviously, we're all disappointed, and there's a lot of people calling for Goodwin to get sacked. It's a really hard situation to be in because he is our only premiership coach in like 60 years. So there's a respect there for what he does and what he gave us during, what was one of the hardest times in, Melbourne history, is being in lockdown, and they gave us the greatest joy you could ever have during that time. And I am forever grateful for being able to celebrate seeing my team win a premiership during, a time that was so tough for everybody. It definitely made being locked down a lot easier. And, I love a lot of what the players are doing and what Simon's done. I think he can get us through this period. And I think because of what they've done, he'll probably get a bit more grace period than what a normal coach might. I don't think he's lost the players. A lot of people are saying that he's lost the players. I think we're just a bit lost with the culture and game plan, and what we're seeing is it's slowly hopefully it's slowly going to come back together over the next couple of weeks as we kind of work out who our bottom six are in the team, because we know who the top players are in our team. It's about filling out the rest with these new kids.
We're going to work hard as a club, and we're going to get ourselves back going.
Simon, the Lindsay injury obviously was a setback, but Langford's performance must have been pretty impressive for you.
Yeah, look, he's really positive today. We asked him to go and work on some things in the last 2 or 3 weeks in and around his game, and he's gone away and done that. He's come in today, and I thought he was probably our best midfielder on the day, which probably says a bit about, to have a guy playing his second game and his first full game to be one of our best players. I think's outstanding for him.
Talk us through the thought process around Christian Petrarca playing forward, because I guess there was probably that temptation of moving into the middle at a time when you couldn't get the ball in the middle to get the ball forward.
Yeah, look, we're trying to, obviously love to play Christian in both areas of the ground, but, we wanted to have another forward option for us, another goal-kicking option. And obviously as the game went on, second quarter he started to get up into the midfield a little bit more, and by the second half he was playing predominantly a fair bit of midfield time. So, it's obviously we'll continue to use Christian where we need him. But today, ideally, we wanted to play him forward. As the game went on, we needed him a bit more around the ball.
Simon, your forward line setup at the moment just feels a little bit dysfunctional. You don't have the right setup. From a coaching perspective, what sort of things are you doing behind the scenes there to get that forward line a bit more cohesive?
Yeah, we've obviously got some new players down there, first and foremost. But, today, in some ways, that wasn't our biggest issue. We had 40 entries, and I think we had 26 shots at goal.
40 entries is not enough in an AFL game. Like, you're just not going to win when you have that low amount of entries, and that comes from not winning the contest.
Which included 4 or 5 that missed completely. So, that wasn't our issue. Our issue was around the ball. Our ability to win the ball and our ability to defend around the ball. And that was one of our greatest issues. It's been one of our greatest strengths, and now we need to get back to work and fix it.
Trent Rivers last year showed he can certainly roll through the midfield, but is the absence of McVee and Windsor holding him back from being able to move into midfield and having to play defence instead? Yeah,
McVee and Windsor, obviously we want to get them back into the team to play in the back half of the ground, and River was set to play on the inside today, and Xavier Lindsay was playing down back, and obviously early in the game Xavier went down, so Riv had to go back. So our plan with Riv is to play him through the middle of the ground and give our midfield a different look.
Do you need to make changes to your centre square startup?
Yeah, look, that's always been the plan, is to continue to evolve in that area of the ground. But right now we're not getting it done. So we have to look at our method, we have to look at our personnel, and that's the first part of the ground we're going to fix.
Is it more method over personnel, or is it?
Right now when I watch the game, our method's not right, so we need to fix that first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. The method's not right. We're not playing as a connected team, and it's not working in the centre, and that's because they haven't got the centre bounce mix right yet. When you're going to go in with a plan like having Trent Rivers in there and that gets changed in the first 5 minutes, there is going to be an adjustment period. We still were only 3 goals down at half time. Try to put Petrarca in the midfield a bit more, but yeah, it just wasn't working with these players being a bit out of form. Hopefully getting Cozzy back will be a bit of a spark.
Max, a 58-point loss to Gold Coast at the G, obviously a disappointing result. What's the feeling amongst the group after, no win on the board?
First half was a good game of football. We thought it was. It might not be pleasant to the eye with the low score, but we were a bit fumbly, especially early. That stayed on for the rest of the game. But we gave ourselves a chance at half-time. Probably shot ourselves in the foot early in the third. Lost centre clearance. And then the fourth quarter, 2 weeks in a row, has been a bit of a write-off. And it's probably the most disappointing part, especially for people watching at home, is what we're bringing in fourth quarters. We're certainly fit enough. We've done an extremely long summer, as has all teams. We ran into a pretty good team today. They put a lot of pressure on us, and we weren't able to stand up under that pressure. So I love footy. The best thing about footy is we've got a great chance to be able to recover tomorrow, rock up Monday with a big smile on our face and get to work and put in the hard yards because we were a bit fumbly, and make sure we're not fumbly for the Geelong game, and get down the road, which I love, getting down the road on the highway and playing another game of football. I've been in worse positions than this. As much as I'd love to be winning, I love the adversity that we're in. I love the challenge that we now have, and wouldn't. Yeah, I'd love to do it with this group. It's a pretty exciting group.
As you said, it's not ideal, no wins on the board round 3, but it is only round 3. As the skipper, what do you do to like rally the vibe of the team, because there's so much more to the season, and I know that pressure builds every time the weeks go by with no win, but you know, as skipper, what do you say?
Yeah, we've got a few players probably out of form, me included. So yeah, we try and get back in form. I've been out of form before. A lot of these players have been out of form before, and we just got to try and get back in, which is fun. It's fun to try and get back in form.
And obviously, as you...
I actually kind of like this attitude, like saying that he wants to take on the adversity and get better and all that sort of stuff. He hasn't brought a defeatist attitude into this, and you want your captain to be upbeat and try and sort of pull it through.
Mentioned it was a bit fumbly throughout. Do you think that it's that connection between lines, trying to move up the ground and get those inside 50s up as well? Because that's something we were down in. Do you reckon that's something as well to work on this week in particular?
Yeah, so hopefully people saw at home how we moved the ball from our back half in the first half. We were able to do it quite freely, and then we sort of fumbled our way forward of centre. That's disappointing. That's probably, people would say at home, that is a regular thing for us. But it's not a regular thing to be able to move the ball smoothly from the back half, so that's exciting. Gold Coast came out at half time and played a completely different way defensively, and they made it impossible for us to move the ball. We've got to be better than that. AFL is incredibly hard, and there's a side that made it hard for us, and we weren't able to stand up. So I'm being a bit optimistic in this interview because it's round 3, but I certainly don't want the people at home to know that I'm not bitterly disappointed with how it started. We've been smashed in my part of the ground in stoppage 2 weeks in a row, which is flattening. But yeah, the optimism is it's round 3. We've got some guys that are out of form, and hopefully we can get back to work.
Okay, I thought the broke spirit comment was in that interview, but it wasn't, so that's a bit weird. Yeah, look, it was highlighted on. Oh, my head's in the way, so. Here that we've lost the clearance differential 3 weeks in a row by double digits, and yeah, that's not good enough. In here, he's talking about, do we split up the Beatles and split up our group? I mentioned it before. It's kind of difficult when your teams only won a flag, in like 60 years, and you've got these premiership players at your club which have brought you the great joy, and how to handle them. And I don't really want our premiership players to be pushed out, because I think they've got a few years left. Like, they're not in their late 30s. Like, Christian Petrarca's 29 and Clayton Oliver's 28. Salem's about 29. Jake Lever's the same age. Like, these guys have got a good 4 years left of playing finals football if we can get the bottom half of the team up to standard. So, because there's enough players in our side that are good enough, but what they're not doing is what they showed here on first crack, where Christian Petrarca wasn't following with his opponent, and that's the type of stuff that when players are in good form they do naturally. He's left the gap here, and that's what gets shown. And then when it comes up here, he's sooking to the umpire about the 15 metres. When the ball gets passed over here, like they're sooking about what's going on, rather than focusing on the game. So it's like, you just got to get on with it, and it's up, leave it to the fans to sook about the umpires and just get on with it in the game rather than being like pointing it out. It was a horribly umpired game on Saturday. It was one of the worst I've seen in a long time. I was losing my mind over so many bad calls. And the thing is that with the players that we have and the quality that we have, we don't really have that bad of a team. If you want to see a bad team, look, this is the team... I'll just move my head out of the way again. This is the team that last lost to Gold Coast in 2014. Nathan Jones, Jack Watts, Chris Dawes, Jack Viney, James Frawley, Dom Tyson, Geordie McKenzie, Lyndon Dunn, Daniel Cross, Cameron Pedersen, Bernie Vince, Jay Kennedy Harris, Tom McDonald, Jack Grimes, Michael Evans was subbed on for Dom Tyson, Jeremy Howe, Neville Jetta, I'm pretty sure that was before he got good, Alex Giorgio, Jake Spencer was our ruckman that day. Rowan Bale, Matt Jones, Dean Turlick. Like, that's not a good football side. There's that side, and then you can see You know, the side that we've got here, we have quality players that can play better. We have quality players that can play better than what they're playing. You know, like once we're going to get Lever back, we're going to get McVee eventually, going to get Windsor back in the side, Cozzy back in the side. That drops out, you know, a couple of players that haven't, you know, played as many games. You know, we've got too many kids in there at the moment, too many young people that don't know the system, and you just need one person not following up with a defender or not following up with the system for the other side to find the weak link and kick the ball down the ground. It's got to be like, you got to be that switched on. It's not funny. So yeah, I don't think breaking up this side is good. I think you just work through it. I think these premiership players should be one club players. Like, I think that's the way that it should be, and I don't think that. I think we can pull it back together and still make finals this season. Like, it's only 3 games. It's only 3 games. Like, yeah, it's been terrible, and we're probably going to lose against Geelong next week. But, you know, let's see what happens. Let's get around the side and support them and see if they can do better. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on everything this week. Yeah. Jeez, could you imagine if we beat Geelong? Like, how funny would that be? But yeah, anyway. Go D's.